Are you building a business, feeling the stress of all the pressures on you, and hungry to learn from other entrepreneurs? Then you're in the right place. You're listening to But First Principles, where we highlight the principles you need to win both at work and at life. Let's dive in. All right, I'm really excited to speak with Rooke of Cavalier Moving, and Rooke, we chat a little bit. I'd love to hear you share a little bit about your own story, just how you got into business, how you built the business. Just first couple of minutes, tell your story.
Yeah, so really, my partner and I, we both did this as a job out of college, and it was just something we did just to pass the time until we got to our careers. And this is when we both lived back in South Carolina, and so we did that for a few years, got a chance to open our own place, and so the two of us and my brother, we moved up here to Richmond in early 2020, right before COVID and everything, and just really got started. We dove in head first, and when COVID happened, everything hit the brakes, and so we were kind of like, "What are we doing?"
Yeah, sure, yeah.
But everything kind of just started to fall into place. It didn't really affect at the time. It affected us because we couldn't go out and meet people, but it also just helped. It helped show what we had to do because we literally had nothing else to do, so we had to work. And so that's what helped us, keep pushing forward. We didn't take paychecks for a while. That way we could help scale it as fast as we could. And right around August, we, had people referring us left and right. And that's kind of how everything got rolling. And then we just kept building and building on top of everything as time went on.
Yeah, so you were right out of college, you were helping with a moving company, and really, like, you're pretty young, so this is really your first venture, and just since 2020, so about 5 years, about 4 years. Um, how does that work? How does the math work? Because it's January
Yeah,
2025, right?
right.
Um,
So yeah, we're 5 years in. This is year six for us now, and this has actually blossomed into two other moving companies. One in Virginia Beach, where my partner's at now, and where my brother's at in Charleston. We have one down there as well. So Titletown and Riverdog Moving, along with Cavalier Moving, and then we've also spun this into a cleaning company, Cavalier Clean Team.
hmm,
So everything's moving in the right direction. We have the blueprint. It's just actually making everything work as it should, which I mean,
sure.
there's always going to be growing pains, but that's to be expected.
Yeah, I know we could talk about that. And actually, I want to unpack that a little bit, because there's, you know, some really cool things about, that little bit of a story that you've told us. Obviously, you're an entrepreneur. I mean, you're willing to go out there and just make it happen and persevere when COVID hit, and you're like, I have no idea what you did to continue. You were in the startup phase, which is hard anyway. Um, and you weren't, I mean, everything was contactless, and like,
Right.
how did you guys operate? How did you move stuff? Was there anybody moving? Did you find a niche? What was it? How was it that you continued to operate when everything
So,
was locked down?
so just like everywhere else, like think of a restaurant, everyone was spraying everything down, wiping everything down, wearing masks, gloves, whatever was necessary. So with moving, we tried to do the same thing. Some people took it, very seriously, others didn't. So we did everything and kind of just played to each customer because, and I'm not trying to get political with anything. Some people deal with it different ways. So we would deal with it our
Sure,
way,
for
and
sure.
we worked through it and got to to the point where everyone still had to move. People still were moving out of apartments, still closing on houses, still had to get where they were going. So
Okay.
they still were calling, and we were doing. Our main goal was to do such a good job and teach all of our incoming employees on the job. So they saw myself and my brother and my partner all working, and
Yeah.
so they learned exactly how we wanted it to be done. And then slowly we were able to step back, which is one of the hardest things to do. Was you have to let other people do the work. That way, once you get off, stop doing the labor, then you can actually scale faster. And that's when everything really started moving. Um,
That is so
but
good,
yeah,
by the way. I mean, that, like, amen, brother. Like, yes, like, as a coach, that's one of the main things I
Yeah,
focus on is remove yourself from the business. If you learn to do it well, that actually makes the business more valuable. It makes it more efficient. You can scale. Like that's it. You unlock a huge level up learning to remove yourself. So that's yeah,
exactly. And that's what I'm doing now with our general manager. We're still there's still a few things that he's still trying to perfect, but for the most part, he's basically shadowed us from day one. Not even day one, but like the middle of 2020, whenever he came on, it was just a college job for him, and
mm,
we just hey, you want do you want to be a millionaire by 35? That's always our pitch, and like it's always possible because from where we came from we started out as just college kids moving furniture, and the guys there sold us on a dream, and we are like,
mm,
why not?
mm.
So, and finally, I convinced my wife after a bad day at work, and here we are. And yeah, whenever we were getting everything started, she was the one making sure that we were able to eat every day. She was holding her job down, and my
Mm,
pitch to her was, as soon as we get up here, you're not going to have to work anymore. So, and finally in August, she finally was able to quit her job and move up here. So we lived apart for 6, 7 months,
wow.
and it was tough, but we got
Mm,
through it. And now she's just a stay-at-home mom doing exactly what she wanted to do.
yeah,
And
yeah,
luckily, I'm not having to go in for a 9 to 5 every day. So I get to spend a lot of time with them and just help coach our GM into learning
mm,
all of the things that we've, tried to impress upon him. And he's done a great job. And I think that's a testament to what we've been able to do with him. But there's still like those few
absolutely.
little things that I'm trying to just completely step back. And, my wife is pushing for me to step back because I'm, a workaholic at heart.
I think you kind of have to be if you're an entrepreneur. You have to enjoy work, frankly.
Yeah.
There's, and that's where the balance is that you enjoy work, but pulling away from it and setting up the systems and developing the people who can continue, operating the business is really, there's that tug, like you want to be in it, but you got to pull yourself out and you got
Yeah.
to set up the systems, right? Um, so you mentioned before, like having a blueprint that works, and now you're just trying to make it work and sort of implement it. What is that blueprint, if you could share it?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's more or less, we're a debt-free company.
Mm,
Everything we do is on a cash flow basis. So if we have the money, we throw it back into the company. So whenever we were getting going, we started out with 2 trucks and just, sweat labor and or sweat equity. And that's all we put into it. That and staying up long nights, booking jobs, or running reports, putting in payroll, whatever it may be. So a lot of things that we were accustomed to doing already, just because we had done it before. But now we were, trying to show it to others. So whenever we got a little bit of cash in the bank, we would go and buy another truck. That way we could
mm.
handle more moves. And we literally just rinse and repeat. And so we in our first year we bought 7, 8 trucks,
Yeah,
and whether they ran or not, we'd buy them for the bodies and just put them into something that we could run. And so we just bought cheap trucks, and that's what we're still running today. We don't go out and buy brand new, 120, $200,000 trucks, because that's a lot of capital that you have to put up, and you either have to pay it all in cash right there, take out a loan for it. And so we'd rather not have loans, no debt. That way we can do anything and everything. All of our payroll is uh, capped. That way we understand what's going on with each job. We don't overspend, overpay anybody. We pay everybody what we perceive that they're worth, and we, talk them up to where they understand, like, this is what I have to do. I can make a lot doing this. Even our movers, we have it set up where whenever they come in, they're going to work hard. They're going to make a good wage. So they make double and sometimes triple what the industry average is.
wow,
And we
wow.
sell that that's one of the big things we sell to anyone we go and network with.
Mm,
Because if you're getting paid well, you're going to want to do a better job,
yeah,
or at least you think that they're going to. Now, there's other things that and that we the standard that we hold them to. So showing up on time in uniform, or just showing up at all, apparently that's the hardest thing to do, at least in this industry, is what it
Sure.
seems. But any, I mean, we hire anybody just because we can, train them how we want to work.
Mm.
But showing up on time is the biggest thing, because if we do nothing right, at least we were on time that day. That starts us off right away, starts everything off on a good note. And then that's one less thing they can complain about. It sets people in a better mood. Because if you go out to a customer's house and they're a stickler about everything, that's one thing that you're already getting in their mind that this is going to be a good day. Most of the time, and 95% of the time, it is a good day.
Right.
So there's
Yeah.
always little things, but those are like the really nitpicky things that I'm just a very big stickler about. And anytime I walk into the office and there's people running late or something is just a little out of order, I'll look over at one of our managers, like, what's going on here? So, I mean, and that's what I try. I want them all in that mindset, but they're obviously a lot nicer than I am when it comes to those things. And so, but they have to. They're with the guys every day, so they have to have that leniency, that give and take. But I'm looking at
You
it
kind of
from,
can play good cop, bad cop in that sense,
yeah,
which is beneficial. Yeah.
yeah. I give them the black and white version. This is what we have to do. This is what we're going to do, and then they make it work.
Mm.
And that
Yeah.
a lot of that comes from practice that they put in.
Mm. So, so a couple of things there that like I can just name is this. So you're careful about expenses and like you're saying, cash flow and
Yeah.
profit, right? And it sounds like there's pretty good margins in your industry, which help, I imagine, depending on
Overall,
how you run it.
I think we run it on a very tighter margin
Mm.
just because of our payroll itself,
Yeah.
where
Well,
other
that's the other
companies are
part.
paying that lower end.
Yeah. So, in fact, it's interesting because I really recommend to any of my clients that it's always better to splurge even a little bit on payroll as long as you have a good hiring process and you know that you're
Right.
hiring and training right well. So these are good people and they fit the culture. There's a good create talk about attitude or mindset or all
Yep.
that emotional tone, all those things. So really spend well on payroll, but then also keep high standards. I mean, and I imagine you have some pretty specific SOPs and
Yeah. Yeah.
that kind of yeah, right. That allows the business to run sort of as a machine,
Yep.
and then also creates the space to actually treat people like people within
Hmm.
those parameters, right? I mean, is that
Exactly.
that's what you're saying?
Exactly.
That's
And I
what you're
mean,
talking about? Yeah.
that's what we're striving for, and it's a
Hmm.
hard thing to do because we expect so much. And when I say so much, it's really not much. It's just in this day and age, people want to do as little as possible and earn as much as possible, which
Yeah.
that's we're trying to live back 10 years ago where it was a look, show up, work hard. And even then people say it was even worse, like whenever they were back, whenever they were
Yeah.
coming up.
The
So
kids
we're
today. I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
exactly. It's a lot. We just want people to actually put in the effort. If you
Mm.
show up, give us effort, you're gonna actually do well. And I mean, if you're a bad mover, we can teach you how to be a good mover. It just takes a little time and a little common sense. So
Sure.
just take your time. Don't try to not give effort. That's the thing that we can't get across enough. And with that, I think that helps everyone in the long run. It's just getting that making that conscious effort to actually, work hard every day.
Yeah, that's yeah, absolutely. I mean, I hear from a lot of business owners that there has been a shift. There's definitely like a cultural shift and a change that just within the last 5 years, since
Mm-hmm.
COVID, really, that people are not working as many hours, asking to be paid more, that sort of thing, and that's not just sort of the classic old guy saying kids today they don't work, they're lazy,
Yeah.
right? But that there's sort of quantifiable evidence of people asking for more pay while working fewer hours and not showing up as much and that sort of thing. So it's
Yeah.
a huge challenge. But I also want to talk about another challenge that you started to allude to, especially in the startup phase of a business. You got to do a lot of marketing. You got to pitch to a lot of people. You got to sell to a lot of people. Um, how is it that you created you said you bought like 7 or 8 trucks or something like that the first year.
Mm-hmm.
How did you create that kind of demand? What'd you guys do?
So it was a lot of just showing our face. Hey, we're young, hungry. individuals that are trying to put forth a good product. And a lot of people like us being like we were the only moving companies, at least that's what we were told, that were going out to all these networking meetings or events. Oh, we used to have a mover, but that was years ago. Or y'all were the first mover to ever show up. So in this industry, it's very, and it's starting to turn over now, but it's very old school. Like this is what we do, pen and paper, don't change. So nowadays, all the young people coming in, at least the ones that are trying to, put forth all the new age technology or think about it a different way, they're actually going out and meeting with everyone, trying to show that we're not just some rugged plumber, electrician, not a skilled labor position type person. This is, something we're trying to do well and do at a high level.
Hmm. Yeah. So like the quality, you were, well, and I'm hearing two things. You're going out, you're going to the networking groups, you were knocking on doors, and you were also really striving to provide a quality service, a quality product, right?
Right.
So both those things. Yeah.
Yeah. And on top of that, we were also sending out mailers where, everyone gets junk mail and everyone treats it as junk mail, or at least 80-90% of people do. We would send out,
Yeah.
hey, if you give if you give us a call, you get X% off or get X dollars off. But we'd make sure that we're only sending those to people that are actually putting houses on the market, have houses going under contract, so that we're not bombarding someone that doesn't want our mail. One, it's a waste of our money, but two, it's a waste of your time. So you're just going to throw it in the trash anyways. Now, obviously, some of those get bounced back to us because it's a bad address. So we've had to modify, how we go about that and figured out how to make sure that we're only sending it to houses that have furniture in them. That way, we're not sending it to an empty house or a place that has someone there.
Right. And where'd you learn some of those marketing things, like, doing the networking and sending out mailers and how to do mailers and like where generating that kind of demand and doing the marketing? How'd you learn to do that?
So the network and everything that was just trial and error, but also a little bit of how we came up. We learned to do it at our past company
Okay.
where we worked before. While we were in college, we went out to some of the networking meetings and events and everything. So we learned how to talk to people. Our boss there, he did a great job. Was able to talk to just about anybody. So
Sure.
I'm more of a uh, type. I'm not a type A. You know, get
You're not the
good at
sales
talking to
guy who
everyone.
like just
Yeah,
gets
I'm
in
not a
front of everybody.
no, I can
Yeah.
go and sell. I can go and sell moving, but it's something that I have struggled with and have really come a long way. So I know how to sell this product, but
Yeah.
it's taken a lot of practice.
Yeah.
But with the mailers, that was something that we've been in a lot of Facebook groups. We see what others do, and we ask questions all the time. We're always trying to improve, change what's needed because if you're stagnant, you can get passed by.
Hmm.
So we're always asking questions and trying to get better every day where we
Yeah.
can.
Well, speaking of getting better every day, what are some of the things like improvements or some of the things you're proud of or some of the things you're doing that you're excited about?
So some of the improvements is just limiting our turnover because last year alone it was tough, or not 2024, but 2023 we had a lot of turnover at the end of the year in some key positions,
Hmm.
and last year we finally got everything settled where we're not having those key roles change. And part of it was bad fits, but part of it was a little bit of oversight on our end, just because maybe we didn't vet certain people well enough, or maybe we just didn't foresee certain things happening. So a little bit of it's on us. But we've made the changes and we've got the right people. We have a very good core group that we're happy about, and we think that they're part of the reason, or some of the main reasons, that we're able to make the strides this past year that we have. Where I think this year we've grown 30%, where the year prior we dropped 5%, which that the year I'm talking about, and was it 23?
2023. Yeah.
Yeah, the entire industry took a 40% downturn,
Okay.
and the
So like,
fact that we only
what'd you say?
dropped 5%, we only dropped
Yeah.
5% is uh, kudos to all the people here because they were, doing everything. But also, it's just the SOPs that we have in place. That way, we're not hemorrhaging money. We don't have capital tied up in trucks, whatever it may be. Now, obviously, we'd love to own our own place, but that's something that we aren't able to do just yet. But that's something that we're striving for. That's our next big goal is to own our own property so that we can start leveraging what we have into other things like better trucks. But that's on the horizon. We're not trying to get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, that's which is awesome. I mean, that's one of the challenges with, I mean, you're talking about, minimizing expenses. Like with money, when there's cash flow happening, it's always tempting just to spend, and it takes a lot of discipline to hold yourself back, to be patient,
Yeah.
to delay gratification, right? But you're foreseeing, like you say, your own properties, like I imagine warehouse, that kind of thing, like
Yeah.
offices.
Yeah, I mean, as you can imagine, warehousing is pretty easy to find. It's the parking that we can't find, and all the
Interesting.
parking is
Right.
always on the outskirts. We're trying to be as centrally located as possible, so it's a little bit tougher, and it's a lot more expensive to do so. But I mean,
Hmm.
we're getting closer and closer,
Like
every day.
downtown Richmond, you're saying?
So more so like West End, like near
Okay.
West End
Yeah,
area.
short pump and
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. I think right now we're right off of Staples Mill and Glenside in
Okay.
that area. So we're trying, if we could buy our place right now, we would. But, our
Yeah.
landlord understands that he can't give it up.
Yeah. Right.
Path of progress.
Yeah, yeah. Right. And you understand as a business owner,
Yeah.
decisions he's making, and that's why you're, you know,
Yeah.
looking
We
to
badger him
expand,
every chance we can.
sure. Um, so how about like some moment, I mean, you've mentioned a couple things that were tough. Were there any moments when you felt like maybe you might throw in the towel, or that or things that were just really blew up that you just, wouldn't have seen coming or something like that? That was just a really
Month
tough moment.
month number two in
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
Literally February of 2020 was very tough. I called my dad and said, "What am I doing?" Because everything was like we made, I don't know, $3,000 the first month in revenue. We did that much in revenue. And the next month, I mean, we did a little over 10. And I was just looking around like, is everything going to be all right? And then March, everything's starting to pick up. And then COVID happened. And so it
Right.
was just like gut punch after gut punch. We're not really getting anything going. And then finally, everything, like the wheels start turning. But it was tough. It was also that leap of faith. I'm up here without my wife. And I made those promises to her. So that was the scariest moment, the toughest moment. But as far as business goes, um, I mean, I guess the toughest thing is getting rid of certain people, and
Mm, mm,
that's the toughest part. I don't like to disappoint people, and making those decisions I don't take lightly. But when certain things happen, you just have to cut ties where necessary.
yeah.
Which I mean, it is what it is, but they were still tough things to do at the time.
Yeah. I mean, so you're saying letting go of people, firing.
Yeah,
Um, yeah.
those
I
are
mean,
the
yeah, keep going.
yeah those are the hardest things to take on. I think. I mean, making a decision to go buy something or to actually change the way you're doing things, that's one thing. But like actually, people that you're with every day, talk to every day, that's
Yeah.
something completely different because they trust you, you trust them, and then you have to make a complete or turn things all the way around because it's just not working out or it's things are changing altogether. So those are the I would say that's the hardest thing to do or
Yeah.
that we've come across.
Yeah. Yeah. A number of clients that I've worked with, and other business situations I've seen, um, some of my own experience. You develop a relationship with somebody, and if you're good with people and you love people, like you want to serve well, and like you said, you're interacting with people every day. You have that relationship. Um, yeah, it's one of the toughest things as a business owner, and being able to fire well is
Mm-hmm.
also sort of like a master skill because you
Oh yeah,
like you have to be able to have the right people in the right seats to develop an organization and really keep standards high and
right.
it's scale, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it's hard, and it's also incredibly important, and something you got to learn not to avoid, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And sorry about that. My dogs are in here too. But
No problem. Couldn't tell,
um,
actually, honestly. But yeah.
but yeah, I mean, I've one of the things I saw online one time was, hire quick and fire fast,
Right.
hire fast and fire faster.
Right.
That way, because if someone's not a fit, then you have to make sure you pull out anything that can hinder you from moving forward.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Um, well, cool. So if you could give like one piece of advice to someone who, maybe is a few years behind you, maybe even looking to start a company, or in the middle of that like first phase, the startup phase where like revenue's up and down and like, oh my gosh, this is not working out the way I thought it would. What would be some piece of advice you give to somebody, um, in that situation?
Anyone looking to get started, take the leap, do your
Mm.
research, make sure you know who your competition is, who your target market is, because that's the biggest thing, knowing who you're going after and what you're up against, because it can be daunting. And if you don't know, it can swallow you up pretty quickly. But definitely take the leap of faith because it's worth it at the end.
Yeah, it's worth it.
Yeah,
Do it. That's great.
100%.
Cool. So, what what do you see? I mean, you kind of already mentioned this, but just cast a little bit of a vision for us. What do you see your company doing? I mean, you're young, so you got a lot of years ahead of you. Or what do you see for your life and for your business in the future?
Uh, for my life, I see, my family hopefully at some point, moving back or at least having a house back home.
Mm,
That's the big goal, is to have that house back with my parents, in-laws, and everything. That
mm,
way our kids can be next to them, but also traveling all the time. My wife loves to travel. I love to travel. We want to get out and see the world.
mm.
Business wise, I see us diversifying into many different industries that, you know, play off of moving. Think of the move, like whenever you go and move, you have to hire movers, obviously. You may have to get storage. You got to board your pets, possibly. You may need to go rent a place to stay. And then maybe your car is messed up. You got to clean your house. So the list goes on. We want to diversify into all of these industries because that's something that we can capitalize on just off of one customer. Not to say we're trying to prey on them, but it's something that we can
Yeah,
offer to them.
right. As a
Um,
service. Yeah,
exactly. So, and also we also want to get into, like, this is big, big, big dreams, but also like HVAC, electrician, things like that. And then the end game is like property development. So that's big money stuff where we want to be, building these multi-million-dollar apartment complexes, or, buildings, whatever it may be, because that's where the real money, you know, there's only so much land to buy. So
right.
buy the property where you can.
That's awesome. I mean, I love it because you're a very low key guy. Pretty soft
Yeah.
spoken. You know how to sell moving, right? But still pretty low key. And you got these big dreams. I mean, I love it. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. I mean, I'm just trying to do it, provide for the family, give them the best thing I can. So that's the
yeah,
drive behind it.
that's awesome. Cool. Well, so yeah, that's about as much time as we have. So and I feel like we covered a lot of ground. I mean, there's a lot that you're doing and looking to do. So um, where can people find you, and who would you like to connect with? So where can they find you, and who would you like to connect with?
So, I mean, you can find us on Google, Facebook, Yelp, Instagram, online. We're at cavaliermoving.com. You can,
Mhm.
and if you look us up on Facebook and Instagram, it's just Cavalier Moving. Um, and as far as people we want to connect with, we're looking to connect with any realtors in the area that are either looking for or having trouble finding that mover that they can recommend to someone, because unfortunately there are those people that you can't trust, and sometimes you can trust them or they're just not doing well enough for your clients. So we're here to help bridge that gap and make sure that you can have someone that you can just, hey, call these guys, they're going to do great. I guarantee it. They've helped all of my clients, or hundreds of my clients, or they help me myself. So we have a lot of that going on. A lot of realtors that recommend us have used us as well. So it's not that they're just saying it to say it; they're actually uh, practicing what they preach.
Yeah. So you guys, you do a great job. You show up and do what you said you're going to do, and
Yeah,
just you want people to know that you can be trusted, and you're looking
exactly.
to connect with realtors who those kinds of people who know a lot of people who are moving, right?
Exactly.
Cool, very cool. So Rooke, it's been great to chat with you. Heck of a business person, right? And I really enjoy doing this, and it's a real privilege for me. So I can't wait to see you on the other side. Thanks a lot.
Yeah. Thanks, Colin.